All right, we'll give people just a few more minutes to join us, and then we'll get going introducing everybody. And just a reminder, this is going to be saved for afterward too. So it'll be viewed for people that you can share afterward and view it down the road when you're old and your grandkids want to see it.
There you go.
All right, I think it's time. Let's do this. Bring down the music and we'll get going. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're back just a month later, and boy, it feels like it's been too long. We're in the thick of it. A little over 2 weeks left now on our 8th iteration of Blank Canvas, excuse me. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And those returning from last month's live panel discussion, we're very excited to have a brand new group of curators this time to discuss everything art, especially in this past year. For everyone joining us, you might have noticed the name change happened about a month ago. UCPLA is now Momentum. That includes our subsidiaries, Work Inc. and Wheels for Humanity. They've also changed their name to Momentum. So for Washington Reed Gallery, what does that mean? Well, we changed that name. Momentum Creative is what you'll know it as. That being said, please check out the website. You can see on the website right now, Blank Canvas is the main hit right now. We'll show a little bit more of the website, but just a reminder, it's momentumcreative.org. You can even purchase art as well. So that's a really cool opportunity. We're encouraging people. Now the team at Momentum Creative, who you'll hear from in a second, have worked incredibly hard and thoughtful on this hybrid exhibit. So over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be talking about the exhibit, and we'll be talking to the curators about their thoughts on things. Again, it goes through June 26th. So just a reminder for everybody. And before we continue, I'd like to introduce Stephanie Anderson, Momentum's Director of Innovation and Growth, and as well as Aranya Kerr, Momentum's Curatorial and Design Manager. Stephanie, I'll let you go first and say a few words.
I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of the curators, as well as all of the artists and art lovers out there who've been a part of Blank Canvas 8. As Dustin said, this is our 8th round of Blank Canvas, and every year it's better than the last. And that means that it goes in new directions, new things happen, new energies infused into it, and it's another adventure. And this year is definitely a great example of that. We are so fortunate to have so many talented curators welcome in artists that they know in their network, as well as in many cases their own art, which is extraordinarily exciting to have. Blank Canvas has always been about sharing art, connecting artists, and connecting communities. And it's, while we've got our normal schedule of shows that we like to focus on here in Culver City and partner with other galleries and spaces to support, we also want to make sure that we are connecting with artists in other cities, other states, other countries. And through Blank Canvas and through the experience of the pandemic, now more than ever, we have, recognized ways to make connections, to share art, to share perspective and experience. And Blank Canvas is always about being able to connect people and their perspective and experiences. So we're just very grateful for the diversity and for the involvement of so many talented people. As Dustin said, we have gone through some changes, but you can still find us, our studio and gallery space out here in Culver City. Hopefully we'll be reopening soon. More to come on that. And our artists throughout the pandemic have been hard at work making artwork wherever they are, in their homes, in their home studios that they've set up. And we're just grateful that we could be here to celebrate another year. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And Aranya, you have a few words to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all the curators for opening up their space and their time and just working with me through every step of the way just to ensure that Blank Canvas was even possible, So it's like doing both online and on site. It was like kind of like there was a lot that was happening behind the scenes, but every curator, everybody there was just kind of like, they gave me everything. So thank you guys. And it was a pleasure working with you all and just getting to know you guys on a more deeper level. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and thank you both for the hard work that you've put in. I do want to go check out a little bit of the videos here. We'll get to the pictures here in a second and the actual exhibit. Don't worry about that. But first, we got a video to share. If you haven't seen it yet, it's worth checking out. And so I'm going to play that now, and then we're going to introduce our curators. Just a reminder, it goes on until June 26th. We have multiple locations for you to check this out. We're so proud of what has come together on Blank Canvas. And we really do wish that you take the time to go check them out at the physical locations and go online and see what we have for you too. I always have to remember which tab I'm on. We found it. All right. So with that said, let us get to our curators. We've got some very exciting guests tonight. I'm going to start with Magenta Stronghard. She's the head of design and partnerships of Supply Frames Design Lab, where she works at the intersection of art, design, social innovation, and hardware engineering. She's interested in socially positive design and collaboration, focusing on the ways design, thinking, and problem solving can contribute to a diverse range of conversations. Magenta, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Real quick, what's the background? Tell us a little bit about where you are right now.
Yeah, so I'm actually in our design lab lobby here, and we have a piece by Lily Hernandez, who is a Momentum community member and artist. And these are all 3D printed flowers. And I believe the piece was inspired by Andy Warhol's flower print. So anyone can drive by 30 East Del Mar in Pasadena and take a look, and we'll have the lights going on each night as well. So can see it at all hours of day and night.
And we do have it on our website right now. You can see that time lapse, and it's very beautiful, very colorful too, especially to have during this time. So I think that's great. Good to meet you. And I'll be asking you questions here in a second.
Sounds good. Thanks.
We move on to Juan Carlos Ordnales. Did I say your name correctly? I'm going to have to, they're unmute. I told you not to mute yourself.
Yeah, you can call me JC. Everyone does. It's
JC. Okay.
Everything super simple.
Well, thank you for being here. And JC, you're a Southern California native. You received your BFA in ceramics from the Kansas City Art Institute. JC has also been working for Exceptional Children's Foundation since 2012. And you'll find him working on ceramic sculptures in larger installation format style to create an experience for the viewer, which I'm going to ask you about just especially because of the pandemic and how your art is really something that needs to be seen in person and having that translate. So I'll get to that in a second. Thank you for being here and taking the evening. We really appreciate it.
Sure.
Raven McCormick, both, and I should mention too, she is from ECF and JC is also ECF, and we'll ask a little bit about that. Raven, you're from Los Angeles. She likes to explore the hereafter and the fantasy through art. Mixed media is her go-to since she can't be bound to one art medium. Being a rocker is a huge part of that, capturing music from the 60s, 70s, even 80s with musician tributes. And Raven, thank you so much for being here as well. We do appreciate it. Could you talk a little bit about how much you love music? Clearly a lot.
Yeah, I like oldies, like 70s, 80s, rock, goth, punk, jazz, opera. So like a lot of my art is kind of it's really inspired by that. So I like to kind of include like music notes, old musicians. Like when a musician dies, I'll do like a tribute painting to it. I'm with ECF. I'm one of the students.
Well, I'm going to be asking you more, just especially for your instance, because I'm assuming live music is a big part of where you can draw inspiration. And so to have that on ice for a little bit, and then now maybe hopefully being able to move back into it and how it contributes to your art. So be prepared for that question coming up very soon. The man of the hour, this Adrian Rechfeld of Adrian's Place, a high schooler, but I hear he is a pretty good actor as well. So he dabbles in art. He's a curator for this event. Grateful to have him here. Adrian's Place is a community hub offering recreational, social, and academic programs for teens and young transitional aged adults tailored to meet their abilities. Adrian, thank you so much for being here and taking the time. I got to ask, what's your next thing that we can see you in acting? Did I? Oh, there we go.
Is muted. There.
I'm not that sure. It doesn't look funny.
All right, I like it. I like it. Well, hey, next time you got a play or you got a movie, your next big hit, you let me know. I'm gonna make sure everybody's there.
Yeah, thank you.
We're excited to have you. And last but not least, Laura Brody of Opulent Mobility has Opulent Mobility, by the way, if you're not familiar, has only expanded since it was created around the US and around the world. Now, its goal of reimagining mobility, disability, and accessibility together, she was fascinated by adaptive technology, but repulsed by its cold and clinical design. Her curiosity and fascination with how we view disability has led her to develop Opulent Mobility. You're joining us from one of the installations. Laura, talk a little about where you are. And
I'm here at Wing Walker Brewery in Monrovia, and I sadly was muting myself because there was drilling going on in the background. But you can get to see some of the art right here, and I'll be able to turn this around and share it all with you. But right now, the Collie Walker is sticking out her tongue at you.
And you can see some of that art. It's really one of the first ones online in the blank canvas, but the fact that there is an opportunity to see it in person, it's got to be experienced in person, correct?
You know, I always like that. I'm a very tactile person and I just love that, but I love three-dimensional artworks too. So that's I want to be able to, if I'm not actually going to touch it, I want to be able to see it from all the angles.
Okay.
You know.
Well, we're going to come back to you in a second, and you're going to give us the full look around, the
All right.
nickel tour, as my nana would used to say. But for now, I want to start with some specific questions. And Raven, you're up first. I'm very interested in the idea of how you mix music and art, combining that wonderful, style, all those different decades as well. My guess is that live shows is very important for you, Raven. Do you go to live shows? Is that something, because I know that you 60s, 70s, 80s, is that where you draw inspiration?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't talk over you. I actually like looking at like old music videos on my computer or phone. I own a lot of like old shows from like 70s and 80s and stuff. So like for my music inspiration, like my dad was a music producer and he'll always do like artwork and he always combined it. He passed away. So I like now as an adult, I like to kind of I listen to music and then like whatever the song is about, like right now I'm listening to Luther Vandross's Superstar. So like from there I can make a picture of like a musician singing and stuff. So like whatever song I'm listening to, I could turn into an artwork.
I wanted to show some of the artwork that you have on display here at Blank Canvas. You do pull a lot from that type of era too. Talk a little about this one, the Labyrinth Ballroom scene. I love the look of this. Could you expand on that?
Sure. Labyrinth is one of my favorite like 80s movies. And I liked how it's about a movie like when I was looking at behind the scenes, it's a movie about how young women should be like, if an older man tries to approach them, you should say you have no power over me. So like I really love the powerful message, but also it has like this really pretty, distinctive, like dark fairy tale vibe to it. So I really like the ballroom scene, like when David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly were dancing like that. I wanted to kind of capture that in this picture.
Absolutely, and you can see some more of your artwork too. Wild World right here. Talk about this one.
I've always been a Cat Stevens fan, so this was near the time, like my aunt's birthday wasn't too far from then, and she's a huge Cat Stevens fan too. So I wanted to draw her like a Cat Stevens picture. So I was listening to like Cat Stevens songs to kind of get inspiration, because I guess I like how all his songs are kind of about like peace and stuff. Like I really like that 70s kind of hippie-ish music. That's like my favorite that's one of my favorite jingers.
Well, everybody needs to check out her artwork that is available right now on Blank Canvas. Here's another one, Helen Reddy tribute poster. I love this one. And obviously you like to bring in a lot of artistically with their music and meaning and bring that here.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, she passed away. And I noticed that a lot of people weren't really saying anything about Helen Reddy. So like I did this, and I even shared it in like my art class during the time, because I'm like, how come nobody's talking about Helen Reddy? She's one of the like, it's funny when she makes a song I Am Woman, she wasn't trying to be like a feminist, like it wasn't supposed to be like a feminist power song. I ended up being like one of the like kind of, what do you call that, theme songs kind of for the women's power movement. So I kind of really like that, how she wasn't trying to be a feminist, but her song was so powerful and ended up like really standing out to a lot of women.
I love it. It's very creative. Love to see that, and love to have someone who's bringing music into artwork as well. That's very important. JC, I want to talk a little bit about your stuff that you've got here too. And Raven, one more of Raven's too. I love this one, Emperor of Heavy Metal. Again, go check out Blank Canvas online, momentumcreative.org. You can view that at your leisure, and you don't need me to speed it up or slow it down. You can just enjoy an evening and go through, I believe we have like 280 different slides here. So definitely spend some time, and it's great to have. JC, I wanted to ask you about the art experience that has changed over the last year. You're very much in line with how you create your art and having an experience in person. Talk about the difficulty of having that translate onto a screen, being able to take it in the space instead. So that how you have to kind of maneuver that.
I don't know if it was difficult. I mean, everything just felt so easy for me. That transition was almost non-existent for me. You know, I kind of have this like little world in my mind that is just it's just a ton of parts, and a lot of what goes on with what I do with the installation and space transformation is just kind of creating a narrative with the parts and how they come together, and they they already stand out on their own, so they're almost always adaptable, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I like corners. I like walls. I like places that are almost invisible, and then they become invisible. They become activated. They're there. They're kind of like in the backdrop, and just a little something just always makes everything pop. I mean, I feel like my room at home is kind of like that. It becomes this giant installation that's just ongoing.
Talk about this piece with the passing of time. Right before we got on, you were talking about you can't really tell if time is sped up or if it's slowed down. It feels like you've got a little bit of that idea here.
Yeah, like there's I mean, you know, like that, all the writing, like that's always going on in my head. You know, I'm a very active person physically and mentally all the time. I'm one of those people that I need like an hour before I go to bed just to unwind, just to kind of like disconnect. But then when I'm asleep, that's what I'm doing. I'm sleeping. So everything is compartmentalized, which is very evident in this piece. Things have their place. Everything just feels bold. It feels like there's a purpose. And I feel like that's kind of like the life that I live. When I'm working at ECF, when I'm working with the students, I'm the person who's asking them, okay, so how does this character walk? Or how do they speak? What do they sound like? And then, you know, the students go off for an hour to think about what that looks like or sounds like or feels like even. Just because, you know, I'm creating my own universe, so I need to kind of understand it in all in all ways, as you know, as much as I can. And the same thing applies to working with installation and with spaces. And you know, I usually don't tell people that I do ceramics because they kind of pigeonhole me into like, oh, you do this or you do that. And so when I tell them that I do installation, it kind of encompasses everything that I do, because I also do video work. I do video projections, and just, you know, one time I hung hair inside an elevator and people were so hesitant to just go in there. The whole ceiling was covered with hair and it was just hanging, you know, and it was just such an interesting experience. So I don't know that the spaces that I engage with are, I don't know if they're quiet or if they're loud. The work just kind of adapts to the space. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it does. And the great thing about always doing these and speaking with artists is that it makes me want to go do art. It's not this monumental task, or it feels more accessible because I feel how you talk about it. The idea is to just create and to find things that you might not have seen or thought about or felt, that you can kind of tap into those. And I think that's where art can really thrive in people, and it also can get them away from thinking that it might be this super difficult thing for them to, I can't do art. Nobody can do, you know, the artist can do art. I can't do art. But then you start to realize there are a lot of things inside every human that you can tap into.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like breathing or walking or smiling. You know, you feel like smiling, so you smile. You want to laugh, you laugh. You want to take off, you walk, or you run, or you ride.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's always felt like that to me since I was a little kid. It was never anything that I had to really like dig for or look for. Everything was just kind of there. I just kind of put the pieces together. There's always this like these pieces that are kind of connected and they overlap, but at the same time they're not like really touching. They're just kind of like side by side. And I feel like installation is very much like that. It can, like one piece can exist in several places, just like we exist in several places. You know, I'm the same person whether I'm at ECF or I'm at home. How I function changes, but and it changes the experience, but then doesn't that happen with installation as well?
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate it. Adrian, go to you, where I am blown away. My wife and I, a couple weeks ago, we drove by Adrian's place, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Wonderful space in Santa Monica. If everyone gets the chance, please go over there, check it out. I love this picture. This picture makes me smile, and obviously, you can check out where the places are, installations like Wing Walker, Adrian's place, Supply Lab. These are all great places. And I'm so excited to finally have the opportunity to get in person again for a lot of people. But Adrian, I want to ask you a little bit about your curation. And so once we go down here, you can check out, for people who are wondering where they can go to the curators, and you can learn more about them. And you can also see their viewing rooms. Adrian, talk to me about what you decided when you were picking this out.
I decided to pick it out though. It was fun.
It was fun.
To put the art piece.
There's a lot of color here too. What do you feel when you look at these?
Beach is good.
How do you feel?
I agree.
I do love looking through these where I can just kind of zone out for a little bit too. Great thing is about how each curation is different. And if you go to that page and check it out, I do want to ask you, Caddy, if you could tell me Adrian's place and kind of what it brings to have that there, and how it really can be a space for accessibility opportunity for everyone.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Stephanie Arang, Momentum, for give us the opportunity to display these wonderful art pieces into Adrian's place. It does really bring, we just opened Adrian's place back in end of January, and having these art pieces brings a lot of like a light and happiness to enter.
When are people going to be able to fully utilize Adrian's place again?
Well, we are open, so it's when everybody feels comfortable to just come, to Adrian's place. We are fully open, and we have 2 programs there right now. And so everyone's welcome to come over and also check the art pieces.
We'll make sure to have a link that people can get everything that they need to see online, the hours of the contact and all that. We'll have a link to that, to Adrian's place. Again, go check it out. Santa Monica. Any reason to get to Santa Monica, this is one of the best reasons right here. Again, you can check this out by going to the blank canvas, going to About Curators, and you can see each selection. There's 25 different ones here. I'll do the last one here, but then you're gonna have to check out the last 5 on your own. It's definitely worth it. Laura, over to you.
All right. Hi there.
You ready?
I think I could be.
All right. Okay. So first of all, how's the beer over at Wingwalker?
I think it's fabulous, but I'm a little bit biased because my boyfriend's the owner. So, but we actually have more. Yes, we have more non-alcoholic options than we actually have alcoholic options. So there are a bunch of different sodas you can make up. You can even make custom ones because there's seltzer water and the Italian spritzers. So.
Oh, that's right up my alley. That's great. All
So,
right. Well,
then-
Rania and I will be over there next week. We'll head
All
over
right.
there and
Come
have
on
a drink
down.
or two. All right. So I do want to ask you, you're a very strong ally and activist for art access for all people. One of the big things that
do try. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a two-part question for you. And let me ask
All
you
right.
this. So artists who do have a disability, you were talking about in your about section that a little bit adaptive technology you're not a big fan of. Could you explain what you
I don't mean at all that I'm not a fan of what it does and what it can do. Like people frequently really love their devices, but at least from an artistic standpoint, a lot of them are clinically designed and fairly cold. They're designed for medical insurance people, and for function. And sometimes the function isn't even that great. So some of my first thoughts when I was first spending more time with them is a former partner had a stroke, and I was spending a lot more quality time with adaptive tech. And they don't have to look like this. There's zero reason why they have to. So can we talk about maybe making them personal? Because it seems so obvious to me that there are personal devices. People live with these every day, And I wasn't seeing it, and I started looking around. There are a lot of patents out there for different designs that never make it to market. I'm like, okay, there's more here. And the more I dug, the more intrigued I got. And I started making ones that I thought, I was asking people what they might like. And I thought, you know what? Nobody has thought about doing this. So maybe I just need to make what I think would be awesome and start inviting other people to get involved. And that's how it started. So I don't think everybody wants, say, a mobility scooter that's dressed up like an Art Nouveau peacock, but I don't know why you wouldn't,
I like that. That's a much better explanation and understanding. The second part of the question is just what you've heard from circles of, artists with disabilities who, have had to deal with this year in a different way.
Yeah.
What have you heard, and kind of what's the hope next?
It's been really interesting. One of the things that I am hearing from a lot of people is that they really, really hope that we maintain the level of access that we've had, because so much being able to be done remotely has been a huge deal for everybody to be able to participate much more easily and share their work. It's opened up a lot of options, and they desperately want to make sure that stays. To not everybody just to be in such a rush to go back to normal where they were being left out. There are so few gallery spaces that are truly wheelchair accessible, for example. A lot of people just don't think about different access points. So how about we try working with this, since we already know that a lot of those meetings could have been an email? How about we start finding ways to make the art world more accessible as well?
Yeah, amen to that. And the fact that when we talk about the ADA, it's been 31 years. I think there needs to be an update for what that is. It's a bit outdated.
Yeah, and that frequently so many places are grandfathered in that places just aren't accessible. And I get it, it's expensive, it's hard, it's a big hardship sometimes, but it also is not at all cool to just make it so people can't come. People can't experience it. So I try to find more and more ways to make it as accessible as possible. And online is a great resource for that. So if we can keep doing it, let's do it.
Let's share a little bit about your art itself. Okay. You're right off the top here at Blank Canvas when you look through things, and you obviously have in-person version too, which can't be beat. But if you want to talk a little bit about some of the art that you have here,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
And One of the things just about me, I'm a costume maker and designer by trade, and those are very deadline specific jobs. So I don't get the time to really delve into things. With these pieces, I do. They take 9 months to 2 years to make. I can sit there and go and into the zen of making individual little pieces and the little snakes that coil around her hair. But this one, Medusa, is built into a vintage wheelchair that somebody donated to me. And I kind of turned her into a Cajun queen, because I figured if Medusa was going to be in her state, she was turned into a monster. Why would you not then start loving the snakes? Why would you not start loving the situation that you're in and having them become your friends?
I love it. It definitely gives a less scary idea of what Medusa is always portrayed as.
Yeah.
The snakes, in that's the beauty of seeing it in person. The detail here is good on the picture, but it'd be another thing to actually be able to get close and see the scales.
Yes, it actually is. I like to call them tiny, dangerous Muppets. So if you get kind of close, they're made out of FOSS shape. It's a flexible foam that melts and hardens if you treat it with steam and heat. And so made a little teeth in the little mouths, and they're wrapped with reused leather pants and jacket. Kali is also made out of pant, jacket, sofa, purses, some capri pants in there, and a lot of zipper teeth. But she's about 6 feet tall and potent.
Is she around the area there?
Yes, she is.
She is? Oh, here, let me stop the sharing here. And if you could, would you be able to?
Absolutely. Here she is.
Beautiful.
So you can see all of her belt of hands and her zipper eyelashes.
That's magnificent. Every time I talk, it comes back to my camera, so I didn't want to talk as much, so we can see it as best as possible. Again, people need to go check it out. What is the address that people can type in?
251. Oh, so I'm sorry. No, it's hang on. Let me go and grab this because I just moved around away and I'm getting confused.
That's okay. We do have it on our website too. You can check out all those locations. I believe if there's 4 or 5.
235 West Maple in Monrovia, California.
There you go. It's an easy drive. It's
Yes.
a quick drive.
It's actually, pretty easy right off the 210.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I do appreciate it. And before we go, I do want to talk to Magenta. I haven't forgotten about you. Don't worry about it.
All good.
I do want to talk a little bit about your socially positive design and collaboration. I'm sure you're looking forward to being able to do that in person once again. We did talk about how important it is for people with disabilities to have the online version as well. But the idea of making it more collaborative when space is wider and more available, more updated to 2021. Maybe there are certain things in the virtual collaboration that creates that you can't be replicated. How have you dealt with it in the past year just as an artist?
Yeah, I actually wanted to second some of what Laura was saying around the dialogue I've heard around what was made more accessible through having to be remote. I definitely was receiving some feedback, not only from our own events, but just in sort of observing other larger conferences that I was attending, that a lot of participants were excited to see that, talks could be saved and viewed after the fact on their own time, that there was more, I think, attention given to providing things like captioning and different options for audio and subtitles and different things like that. And also just the flexibility of having a virtual event versus a physical event, timing wise, being able to see all the talks or all the events within that larger conference on someone's own time or own schedule, and having that flexibility was huge. So definitely thinking about all of those things moving forward in hybrid events and programming here at Design Lab, and all the kinds of engagements that we are a part of. over the last year, it's been really interesting, or even more than a year now. It's definitely been interesting trying different ways to engage with our community. We did have a really strong in-person presence at our space here in Pasadena, and it was definitely hard not to, feel somewhat of a loss from not being able to do those kinds of events anymore. But definitely, I think I've heard similar sentiments with other, curators and programmers and things. You just have to sort of rise to the occasion and think creatively. And we're all problem solvers and make do with what we can and try to, innovate from that. And that's, of course, in the spirit of what we do here as well with our sort of prototyping lab and all the different disciplines we work with. So it was a great challenge, I think, as well to put on events online, finding different ways to engage, I think in groups and also individually was an exciting challenge to me. We had great turnout for some of our smaller, what we called mentor sessions, where we help people through developing their hardware projects and having sort of expert mentors. And that was cool because we were able to have people from all around the world engage. And that was something across our different programs and events the past year that I think, we were like, we want to keep that going into the future, of course, and not just be limited by our physical location and who can come in person to the space, but keep the broader like international community that we've grown over the last year and a half engaged. So I think that the sort of magical spot to keep experimenting in is this hybrid model, because I'm not ready to fully let go of in person. And I personally, like, maybe I'm biased, but I feel a lot of magic and sort of inspiration comes from just in real life interaction. But it's been great to see different ways that people are using virtual spaces, some of the, AR and VR technology, but even just, I feel like there's been sort of a, what am I trying to say? Reignition of some of these lo-fi gaming spaces. And I'm excited to see how those get integrated into more sort of mainstream communities and programming, I guess. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there because people like to, sort of create their avatar. They don't necessarily want to be walking around in AR space or VR space or have the tools all the time to get the best experience out of that. But how can we embrace what some of us grew up with or what we're familiar with in sort of a 2D, 2.5D space and make it more customizable, I would say, on the back end for those of us designing the programs and events. That's something I'm excited about.
Well, I do think that the world needs to be run more by artists because of the problem solving that clearly a lot have come out of this. And like you said, I'm excited to see what's next. I don't want to give up in person. I think a lot of people don't ever want to do that too. But I do want to ask you before we go, just to talk about the space that you're in, and I'll share the screen here that people can see exactly what it looks like. But this is where you're seated right in front of this, and so people can walk by, and it's a pretty big installation.
Yeah, we have a storefront space here on Del Mar, right across from Central Park, and people are welcome to walk by, drive by, scooter by, or they can always email us if they'd like to, make an appointment to stop in. Unfortunately, we're still not quite open to the public fully, but happy to make arrangements and keep everyone safe and comfortable on sort of a one-on-one basis. And I love that photo you had before. And I think what's nicely highlighted in the time lapse is how the shadows really play with this piece, which has been one of my favorite parts of it in this space. The sort of evolution across the day of the light playing with these flowers here and the foliage that's around the windows, the shadows from there coming in. But yeah, I'm happy to sort of walk around the space as well if you're interested. And if you we can do a little quick tour.
Absolutely. Let's
do a backwards tour. We'll see. So yes, our whole front window right now is filled with lilies flowers, which we love. It really brightens our day when we come in. And if you come into this space, we have our flex programming space here, which is not only our sort of internal team's workspace, but when we host workshops and events in person, everyone can sort of spread out and work on their projects. We have all kinds of 3D printers and digital fabrication equipment, FDM, SLA, polyjet printers, resin printers. We have small scale electronics manufacturing. Well, here's sort of electronics prototyping. And then down here in the loading dock, we have small scale electronics manufacturing equipment. I don't know what this angle's like, but, and then our injection mold machine. And then my favorite space is the wood shop in here. Let's see if light turns on. We have sort of our heavier equipment, CNC machines, wood shop, and some of our hand tools and things for prepping material. So we can't wait to have people back in person using all these awesome tools, but we're trying to keep them warmed up in the meantime with our own projects. So yeah.
It's great to see, and we really appreciate the tour too. I felt like it was behind the scenes at 30 Rock here. SNL, you know, they just moving into the background there. So that was very neat. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you being part of tonight. We're at the 45-minute mark, right at that sweet spot. So I'm going to let everybody go for the evening. But again, momentumcreative.org. If you would like to donate, yeah, please donate. This is a great spot to donate. We have a lot of great programs going on. We're excited to see things moving toward getting back together, a new normal, but also considering people, all people, access, opportunity, inclusion. That's what Momentum is all about. And we're looking forward to the day that people start to recognize that that should be the main priority for every single thing, every business that opens, every venue, every event. How can we make it opportunity that has access and inclusion for all people? Thank you to everyone joining us tonight. I do appreciate it. Thank you to the artists, and thank you for the curators and their time. And thank you for putting up with me as your host. I'm Dustin Kleeman. And as always, we'll see you next time. We're going to be doing more of these, and we're looking forward to it. Everyone, enjoy your evening. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.